Yo, what's up YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Dopely Speaking. Today is November 6, 2025, Thursday. Yeah, let me have some chit chat with you guys about the Muslim phenomenon in the world, especially after Zohar Madani win the New York mayoral election, right? Now you see that Elon Musk aligned with Donald Trump. They're really, aligned together to go against Zohar Madani. And Zohar Madani said, if Netanyahu ever visit New York City, we're gonna capture you, something like that. So I'm gonna talk about why the Muslim phenomenon is everywhere in the world, even including Japan, right? You can see the Chibaken I used to stay in Japan in Chibaken. That is very close to Tokyo metropolitan area, right? So Chibaken is filled with Muslims. These Muslims are just praying their Islamic, God in the street and doing their rituals, blocking the way. People cannot walk by, people cannot drive by. So the small alley is totally blocked by a group of these Muslim pilgrims, right? So anyway, and it's everywhere. And we talk about, in Japanese schools, the Muslim kid, they have nothing to eat because, Japanese people eat pork, and in Muslim culture, they cannot eat pork, right? So they have some kind of vegetable, like a veggie meat, like a synthetic meat instead, or they have beef, this and that. And also the Muslim want to have the traditional burial for funeral, right? They want a tomb and a burial ground, something like that. But Japanese people, they go for the incineration, that's for the fire burial, right? So they're Muslims trying to apply for some land to bury their ancestors, but Japanese people actually denied that. So there are some clashes between this and that. So anyway, especially in the UK, everybody's talking about the clashes between Christianity and Muslims, ideas and identity, this and that. So it's also very interesting to know that, the CCP might be behind everything. I'm just speculating because it's totally reasonable that who is the biggest gainer of the Muslim versus the world, Muslim versus Christianity? It's the CCP. Because for the Western society, right, we're not just talking about Israel versus the Muslim world in the Gaza Strip, right? We're talking about worldwide in the Western civilization, which would include, of course, Europe as well as North America. However, that might also include Japan and Korea, even though Japan and Korea they are Eastern countries, right? But culturally, they belong to the Western democratic system. So even we have a lot of Muslims coming to Japan to fill up their gap for the population. There's an ongoing debate to say which immigration is better. Because some Japanese say, oh, at least the Chinese they have the same genes, they look the same, and part of our ancestors coming from China. And at least they can probably amalgamate with us. They can immerse themselves to this. They can maybe for the future generation we can treat them as Japanese because they look the same. If they speak the same language, they have the similar culture. They can replace the Japanese for the population gap. But for the Muslims, right, they look different. They have the entire different culture, and they're pretty strong on their culture. And they might actually go against you. They go against your own culture, and they were trying to. Torn away. They're trying to, try to destroy your Japanese local culture. So we have this kind of debate in Japan, ongoing debate, because many Japanese people, you know what? They hate Chinese people. You know what I'm talking about. They are hating them not for the Hong Kongese or Hong Konger, whatever you call them, right? For the Hong Kong people who love mainland China, we call them Hong Kongese. For the Hong Kong people who hate mainland China, who hate CCP, we call them Hong Konger. You know the difference. No matter we're talking about Hong Kongese, Hong Konger, or Taiwanese, right? Japanese people do not hate them usually, but many Japanese people actually hate CCP Chinese people, especially for those people who actually have the CCP communism beliefs, who treat people unfairly or in a very bossy way, this and that, right? But, they were debating about over that. They say, on one hand, we are talking about the Chinese people, CCP Chinese people in Japan reaching over 1 million population already, they passed the benchmark. On the other hand, we're talking about a bunch of Muslim people who look entirely different from Japanese people, who have the different religion practice, who are very tough to immerse to the society. They might even change Japan for what Japan is. It's a dilemma. Like it's in a short period of time, there's no better solution. Because the problem is that Japanese people stop giving birth to babies, like as Koreans doing, right? So their birth rate is really declining. So they direly need someone to replace their their manpower, their labor force, right? And this is not a very easy fix. So the problem with the Muslim popularity in the world is not just because of how aggressive their cultural norms are. Like they can convert people in a very active way. They are preaching, like for some people who are disappointed with their previous religion or with their previous life experience, in such a turmoil times, right? Many people will begin to accept a new kind of God. Maybe that's Allah. They begin to experiment down a little by little. They know your brain cells away. They're trying to. I'm not trying to criticize Muslim. I respect it as a religion. However, that religion is really aggressive. So they converted a lot of new believers. And also, it's because of the bad economic times. Many people are fed up with the Western society, traditional norms. So they begin to be a little bit experimental for their religious beliefs, this and that. I kind of understand it. And also they need Western societies, including Japan and Korea, like I said, Western societies, right? They need a lot of manpower, but local people are not giving enough, not having enough birth rate. So the problem is, of course, naturally, Muslim people move around. Muslim people have the power to move around, to preach their religion, also escape from the home country. Because of this dual reason, right? They propagate. They are prosperous for their population, and they give like 7 children a birth. They give birth to 7 children at one time, and for the local white people or local Japanese people, they just give 1 baby, one time. They birth 1 baby one time, or maybe even 0 baby, because they are not giving up. They are not bringing babies to the world, right? And also, guys, do not forget about a very important factor here. That's the CCP's role here. Guys, can you analyze, right? Now, a lot of anti-Christ, anti-Christianity, and that's kind of instigation, the war between Christianity and Muslims. I believe, many Christianity are not satisfied with how Muslims behave in a pretty aggressive way. So they do have a feud. They have a beef over thousands of years, of course. That is understandable. But a lot of this media is coming from Chinese media, right? Think about this. In CCP China, the Chinese CCP government has been tranquilizing, iron fisting the Uyghurs, right? They actually destroy the local Muslims there. On the other hand, they are trying to encourage Iran and some extremists like Muslim country to be more aggressive. They are trying to instigate the war between Christianity world, a democratic system world, and Muslims, extremely between the Muslim extremists, right? We're not talking about Zahran Madani, because Zahran Madani is someone who is entirely different from the extremists. I don't think he's extremist though, but he is a strong support of Muslim culture. Anyway, I will talk about him in a neutral way, because we do not know better anything what he would do, so let's wait and see. Hopefully everything will be fine. Hopefully everything would be better, I guess. I'm hoping for that. Yeah. So if the Muslims were to struggle against Christianity culture, if in America, in Europe, in Japan, all these Western civilized countries, right? If the Muslims are fighting with the local people there, who would be happy? The more chaotic the situation becomes, the more happier the CCP will become. Because you know what? Based on the Sun Tzu, the art of war, the CCP would have a chance to intervene and play the good guy, play the big boss. Because you guys fight. You are tormenting each other. You're trying to... So you're fighting each other. Both of your sides lose a lot of manpower. I'm not talking about really killing people, right? I'm talking about a resource competition. You're competing for the resource. You're competing for the resource, the natural resource, as well as the cultural resource, as spiritual resource. So that would end up you harming each other. And finally, the CCP culture grows stronger among us this chaotic time. And then CCP might be able to control you all. So this is what I'm afraid of most, because remember, these CCP guys, they're not good people, right? Many of them are evil people. However, they're pretty extremely smart. I'm not talking about Albert Einstein level or kind of a, IQ 200 level smart. They're not that high, right? I'm talking about the tactics. I'm talking about art of war. These people in Chinese, we call them 人精, which means they are the best of human intellectuals in terms of understanding how you think about everything, how to control your mind. You know that? The pragmatism. Like from the guy Machiavelli, that Asian Western philosopher from Machiavelli. Or the Sun Tzu, the art of war. So these guys are the master of controlling people's mind and brainwashing people's minds. So I was imagining, the CCP guys, just like a Japanese animation, they're just like watching behind the curtain, behind the eye curtain, and they're jeering and you guys fighting each other. Here's a ho 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 ho. The world actually belongs to our control because you guys are fighting each other, but everything is designed by me. Ho ho ho, I'm an evil guy, Bison. Just Street Fighter, just like evil cop. Wow, by the way, the evil cop, the Bison, his hat looked pretty much like an old Chinese cop hat in the 1990s, And the Bison's facial expression, his bone structure looked like East Asian as well. So Bison pretty much can pass with a very famous Chinese soccer player, Hao Haidong. Hao Haidong look exactly like Bison. Okay, anyway. So I just want to know that, I just want to tell you guys, the CCP power is something that it's invisibly strong in a Western society. That kind of infiltration, you guys, you have to be extremely careful. Do not overfight with each other because CCP might laugh on behind. And when Christianity versus the Muslim, and I'm not really saying to kill for literal reason, right? I'm not saying that, but kill as a metaphor, right? When you're killing each other, when you're slaughtering each other, who will laugh most? That's a CCP. Because when you guys wear out, CCP becomes stronger and stronger watching you guys fight and proliferate from you guys fight, making money from you guys fight and take control and then become your boss. And then everybody will have to experience this kind of CCP iron fist control. Even me living in the US, there's no way for me to hide, because if the CCP power is very strong in New York, maybe I'll be dead. Any other people like me, Chinese descendant, our life would be miserable. So please still watch out to the CCP power, guys. Unite. I don't want too much more fight between the Muslims and the rest of the world. I want you guys to unite together to go against CCP. End of this episode. See you next time. Bye bye.